Hi everyone, welcome to Establishing the Foundations. This talk is all about beginning your therapy journey with your child and some of the things that you can do along the way to support reaching the goals that you would like to be able to achieve. So a little bit about me. I'm an occupational therapist who's been working with children and families for the last 35 years, and I've had the absolute pleasure of being able to work with people across the lifespan. So that's working with people from when they were babies all the way through to adulthood. I'm the owner of Independent Kids and Adults, and I guess the biggest thing that I've learned over the years is the importance of empowering children and their families through education and collaboration and working together. So at Independent Kids and Adults, we offer a variety of different services. We've got occupational therapy. Occupational therapy looks at people's occupations, including occupations such as going to school, the things that you do at home, self-care, play, social interaction, and we identify what the barriers might be to achieving what you want to be able to do within those occupations. So once we've identified that, OTs will help modify your environment or adapt the tasks or build skills to enable participation in those occupations. Some of those barriers might be things like fine motor skills or sensory processing or planning and organisation. We also offer the key worker model for children between 0 and 9. And the key worker model is a model where there is a key contact who works with you and takes the lead in providing the supports that you need for your child to meet their goals. Our current key worker is a trained early education teacher. We also have behaviour support practitioners, and behaviour support practitioners are people who work to identify behaviours of concern that may impact on participation or quality of life. The key role of this person is to prevent any use of restrictive practices for children, and they help to provide strategies and advice on how to manage difficult behaviours. We also have physiotherapy, who work on posture, coordination and gross motor skills, and dietetics, who offer support for diet, food and nutrition related skills, including other things such as fussy eating and constipation. So at the start of your journey, one of the most important things to understand is neurodivergence. What neurodivergence means is that we all have a unique brain type and there are no two brains the same. However, around 70% of the population have similar enough brain structures that they may think or process information in similar ways. Neurodivergence means, though, that there is naturally occurring differences so that some people may process information a slightly different way. It means that there are natural differences in brain structures, and some of these differences may fit into a diagnostic type. The main problem is that our society is built to match the 70%, making it difficult for people who process information differently to thrive. And as you can see from this slide, there are many different diagnosis types that fit within neurodiverse profiles. That might be that somebody's autistic, they might have specific learning difficulties such as dyslexia or dyscalculia, or it might mean somebody has ADHD. So it's just that those people's brains process information differently. At the start of your therapy journey, one of the things that's really important to understand is that now in Australia we operate under the human rights model. Originally, services many years ago were offered within a medical model, and the medical model really looked at the person as being the problem or the one to make the changes. This led to disempowerment and low buy-in from people to achieve their goals. After the medical model, society started to shift towards a social model, which was about looking at removing barriers that were created by society to enable people to hit their goals. So an example would be that inaccessible buildings were made accessible, or different lighting was used to work with people who might have had a vision impairment. However, the problem with the social model is that the solutions were being determined by society rather than individuals who had a disability or who had difference. The human rights model identifies disability as a natural part of human diversity, and that regardless of ability, sex, gender, race, everyone has the same rights. So it aims to empower everyone to be equal and to ensure that people can choose how to live their lives and what accommodations best suit them, rather than society making those accommodations on their behalf. So I guess the next question is, what does that mean for you and your child? So we are looking at therapy being implemented to accommodate for the person's needs by understanding their individual profile and allowing your child the freedom to accomplish tasks in their own way. It's important that we educate other people on neurodiversity and your child's individual profile and foster an atmosphere of inclusion and acceptance. We need to ensure that your own child has a good understanding of their profile as they grow older so that they can actually start to really look at being able to advocate for their own needs. And before we do anything, we look at adapting the environment, educating others, and adapting the task. So how that all reflects within the therapy session is that when you're working in therapy, it's no longer the traditional model of working with a person trying to change or modify their abilities. Therapy is a collaborative process between you, your therapist, and your child. And the process aims to assist you in understanding your child's profile more deeply and to be able to set goals and develop strategies together. Therapy involves working together as a team, so it's expected that you and your child and the therapist will always be working together within the therapy sessions. So as part of your therapy journey, you will start to set goals with your therapist. And your therapist will use SMART goals, which is a goal that is written to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. When setting your goals with the therapist, it is important to work together to set the goals, and those goals need to be meaningful to you and your child, or meaningful to your whole family. The goals will need to be achievable and broken down into small steps so that you can celebrate your successes with them together often. When setting your goals, also take into account your child's profile and make sure that they're just the right challenge, so not too hard and not too easy. Goals are positive and provide a sense of accomplishment, and it's really important to review and measure those goals regularly so that you can do that celebration of your successes. And if the goal is not working for you, it is okay to change it, because according to different times in your life or different situations, goals will change, and that's okay. So now that we've set the goals, we start to look at what therapy will begin to do. Firstly, you and your therapist will build an understanding of your child's profile. This will provide the basis for everything that comes next. So this will help you to adjust your way of engaging and interacting with your child, adjust the environment to meet their needs, and adjust the expectations to also match their profile and their needs. Understanding your child's profile will help you advocate on behalf of your child in order to ensure their needs are met. This may be in the form of environmental changes in the classroom, helping other family members to know how to play and engage with your child, or it will also help in developing and further enhancing your goals as well. It is important to be able to always identify and work to your child's strengths, and this may be that they have particular interests in a certain area, they notice patterns more than others, but really working out what the strengths are of your child is so important in informing your therapy journey, and also being able to work with others as well. Also identify your child's preferences, so they might like soft clothing rather than things like jeans, or having their lights turned down in their room so that they don't get overloaded. So working on their preferences to ensure that that then builds into their therapy plan is really important. Understanding your child's sensory profile really assists with ensuring the sensory environment meets their needs. It can also assist with reducing that overwhelm and stress a child might feel if they're feeling sensory overloaded. Sensory differences may include things like being oversensitive to certain types of input, such as touch and noise, and you might see that in things like they don't like certain types of clothing, or they put their hands over their ears when it's noisy. When somebody is defensive to certain types of sensory inputs, that can lead to high levels of distress and anxiety. Understanding your child's communication profile, including the way they process language and understand what's happening around them. And that is not only the words being said, but picking up on the cues that are happening in their environment as well. And also understand how they express their needs and wants, because that's going to be different for each person as well. Planning and organisation is highly related to sequencing. And for some people, it can be really tricky to sequence how to do a task. For some people, they might find it hard to work out how to do things in the right order and with the right motor movements. And that can have a big impact on their play, their social interactions, and their daily living tasks, which then has an impact on their regulation. Also understand your child's executive function. Executive function relates to the way that you regulate your system to attend to and complete tasks. It includes things like working memory, emotional control, shifting attention, and planning and organisation. Once you understand your child's profile, you can use this information to educate others. You can do this in many different forms and with many different people. And when you're educating others, it's important to understand their understanding so you can match that education to their profile as well. The more people who understand your child, the better. So include family, friends, educators, and other children in that education process as well. Using an About Me book is really helpful to give people tips and ideas on how to best adjust the way that they interact to meet your child's needs. And the more people that understand your child, the more adjustments that are made, that will also help support your child meeting their goals. Once everyone understands your child's profile, that paves the way for adapting the environment to meet their needs. So adapting the environment might include things like reducing sensory demands to match your child's profile or preferences. It may be to provide opportunities for more jumping and crashing in the home, or it might be things like sorting toys into tubs to reduce that visual clutter in the home. Other environmental adjustments might be providing a quiet breakout space, or another example might be using furniture that allows your child to get the movement they need to support their attention, like a wobbly stool or a how to hug chair. Changing the seating environments in a classroom to meet your child's needs might also be another environmental adaptation that might be used. So adapting the environment to meet your child's needs provides the foundation to the next steps of therapy, and it really helps to support the regulation that they might need to be able to engage in other activities. So once the environment meets your child's needs, you and your therapist will begin to work at adapting tasks to enable your child to succeed. So task adjustment includes making sure the task is set to the just right challenge, not too hard and not too easy. Some of the ways that you may adapt the task is by using visuals to show the sequence of how to do a task. Or you might break down the task into small achievable steps. Another technique that is often used is called backward chaining. And backward chaining is doing the task to the last step and then the child finishes the last step. So that builds a sense of achievement and accomplishment. And when you get that, all of your big happy hormones are released and they hit and they make you feel fantastic. So then the next time the child does the last two steps of the activity, and you keep working backwards until the last task is achieved. Other ways that you might adapt the task is by having a little task checklist so the child ticks off each part of the task as they do it. Or you might actually just get the child to do the parts of the task that they will be successful and you will do the other parts. You might also use things like IT supports, especially around literacy, numeracy, handwriting, all of those sorts of things as well. So there's many different ways to adapt tasks, and your therapist will work with you in breaking down those tasks and adapting them to meet your child's needs. So once all of these other areas are developed, we then start to work on skill building. And skill building is where you and your therapist begin to build your child's skills. Building skills takes a lot of practice and repetition, so you will collaborate together with transferring those strategies into the home and to the school. Your therapist will work on strategies and techniques within the therapy sessions for you to then embed in your everyday activities at home. These activities or these techniques will relate back to your goals that you and the therapist have set, and you can collaborate on what is working and what need to change in order to meet those goals. So now let's put it all together. The goals have been set. So here's an example. By the end of June 2024, Eli will begin to be able to put on his pajamas by himself 5 out of 7 nights per week. So here we have a SMART goal that's specific, measurable, attainable, timely, and realistic. So Eli's current measure is that he requires full assistance with getting his pajamas on, including prompting and reminding, following him around the room, and then actually putting his pajamas on for him. So what are some of the environmental adjustments that are needed to be made for Eli? So Eli has difficulties with balance and can feel a bit worried when he has to stand on one leg to put his pajamas on. He also gets easily distracted by other things around him. Also, we're wanting to start to think about SoSafe for Eli and start to differentiate between private and public areas so that he can be safe. The environmental adjustments then are made, and they are that we're going to use a chair for him to sit on, and we're going to call that the dressing chair. And we're going to start to get dressed in his bedroom to reduce distractions. So these environmental adjustments reduce demand and also cue Eli to the fact that it is time to get dressed. This now becomes a routine that is used every time. And to support that routine, we're going to use a social script which will explain getting dressed, where to get dressed, and how to get dressed, and what the routine looks like. So we've made the environmental adjustments and now we need to adapt the task. So we'll use visuals to reiterate what we went through in the social story and show the sequence of how to put his pajamas on. And we'll use a first this then that card. So first Eli gets dressed into his pajamas and then he can watch TV. We use clothing that is easy to put on without buttons, and we'll use pajamas with a picture on the front so that Eli knows which is the front of his pajamas and which is the back. And that will all have been explained in the social story to him. And next we're going to skill build. We're going to backward chain. We're going to start the task and Eli finishes it off. And we're going to practice that every day until Eli is actually able to do it himself. And once that goal has been achieved, we'll set a new goal for dressing. So now that we have the therapy starting, some of the most important things that you can do in the home are first of all establishing routines. Establishing routines is one of the most important factors to support therapy, and routines provide a predictable environment to be able to practice those new skills. Having a routine that is predictable provides safety and security for your child, which then goes on to support regulation and reduces meltdowns. Routine also cues your child what needs to happen next, and in the long term increases their independence. The more you support those routines with visuals, the more you're able to provide a setting to be able to prepare your child for unexpected changes in the routine. And most importantly, always support your routine with visuals. To be able to manage this journey, the most important thing is taking care of yourself. The more you're able to take care of yourself as a parent, the more you're able to manage your stress, to maintain the routines that are going to build on the therapy, to be able to remain calm and provide a safe and supportive environment for your child, and reduce carer burnout in the long term. Also, if you're not taking care of yourself, that can lead to chronic stress and health-related issues that come with chronic stress. Some of the ways that you can support your own self-care is making sure you connect with other parents, because that can be very difficult. Having a child with additional needs can be very isolating. Make sure you build in regular time for yourself and utilise respite from others so that you get a break. Prioritise your own health, including your own nutrition and your own exercise, and make time for a leisure activity that is special to you. Make sure you also set boundaries to be able to know what you can take on and what you can't. You don't have to be everything to everyone. So hopefully that was useful for you guys today, and please stay tuned for some more talks that are coming up.